to set up a self-managing agency that will scale to 7 figures in 12 weeks without burning out. Every agency wants to have more impact and more influence because it will generate more income and provide them with the lifestyle of their dreams. And this can be done without doing all sorts of studying and taking courses and attending events and doing all sorts of trial and error and trying to figure things out. It doesn't require all of that. It does require 3 things though. It does require that you have a method and that you have the right mindset and that you have motivation to keep you going. And if you don't have all 3 of those things, if you don't have the motivation, which is what you really want, your passion, your purpose, what's in your heart, then you will not move ahead. And if you don't have the right mindset, the beliefs, the practices, and a way for you to move through limitations, then you will stop and stall. And if you don't have a method to put this all into play, you will not get moving. So you need all 3 of those things in order to succeed. Now, it doesn't sound like very much, and it isn't. And it can be very simple when you have the right systems. I was thinking about a recent person that I was working with, and this individual wanted to grow her agency to 7 figures, and she also wanted to have a family. So there were 2 things that were a big priority in her life at this time. However, she wasn't moving ahead in her business. She only had 1 team member, and she was working 14 to 16 hours a day and only maybe taking 1 day off a week. But through effort and time and getting organized and using a method, getting her mindset aligned and her motivation tuned in, then we were able to scale her business, but also get back time, slow down time. And she ultimately ended up working 3 hours a day and had 2 team members managing things for her instead. And she also got pregnant and had her first child. So this all can happen if you want your agency to grow, but it doesn't have to be a system of try, fail, learn, try differently over and over and over and over again. It needs to be done systematically, and it's best done with guidance. You would never go to Mount Everest and just strap on some gear and a backpack full of food and a tent and start climbing to go to the peak. You would never do that. And the reason being is that you could die trying, and that's not what you want. You want to get up that mountain. So you hire a guide, you hire a Sherpa who's been up that mountain several times, who's almost died trying, and they know how to take you to the different base camps that you need to get to in order to get to the peak and not die. So the critical factor here is to have somebody guide you. And I always hire guides. I always look for great guides that can guide me. So that's one of the critical things. You need a guide that has a system, but also a guide that has the right mindset and can teach you how to dial your mindset in. And also a guide that can help you with your motivation. Find out what your purpose is, your why. And when you know your why, then you will step forward, because there are going to be days when there are tough challenges and there are things coming at you and there's a lot of stress and you don't know what to do. And if you don't have your why, if you don't have your reason why, who you're being a hero to, whether it's a child or your wife or your parents, but if you don't have a why, then you won't step forward. You will procrastinate and come up with some excuses and not get things done. But you can do this, and growing your agency and scaling your agency can be done systematically and with focus. If you don't have focus, you have nothing. I'll say it again. If you don't have focus, you don't have nothing. You need to have clear focus on what you want, what it looks like, and take the steps to get you there. If you don't have a picture of your future self and a clear identity of who you want to become, then it cannot happen. And so you can do all of this without burning out. And if you are interested in something like this, then click the link below and check out the system that I have set up for you that you can put into place right now. You won't have the mindset and the motivation, but you can test it out for yourself right now. So go ahead and click the button below and get started. 3 quick tips to scale your business fast. Every business has these 3 components in their business. Otherwise, they will not scale. I've seen friends that have businesses that are doing $300,000-$500,000 or more, and they are not scaling to $1 million because they do not have these 3 components. They do not have the mindset, they do not have the motivation, and they do not have the method. So if you have the method, let's say you have a system. Let's say you're using a 12-week year system and you're compressing a project and a goal into 12 weeks. That's the method. Great. You got the method. But if you don't have the mindset and you're procrastinating and you're getting caught up in trying to be a perfectionist and you're holding yourself back, then you're not going to get moving. So you need the right mindset in order to use the method, the system, right? But not only that, you need to have motivation. So you're going to procrastinate and you're going to get caught up in all sorts of other distraction. And if you don't have the motivation behind it, then you're not going to do it. It's what I call key motivators. If you don't have a key motivator, then guess what? There's going to be days when things are difficult, things are tough, or you don't feel like doing it and you're moody. And guess what? You don't take the action. And then the next day comes and you do the same thing. And you start beating yourself up and start getting negative about what you're doing and thinking about critical things and being judgmental. And that little inner critic, the little bosses in your head start talking to you more and more and saying things like, who are you? And how are you going to do this? And are you capable? Imposter syndrome comes in. And if you don't have what I call heart behind it, your purpose, your passion, that's your motivation. If you don't have something you're doing for someone else, namely your children or your wife or somebody that you're working on this for because you want to be a provider, you want to be somebody who is great and a great leader and a great mentor or a great parent or father or mother, then you're not going to do it. So you need those 3 items. You need the motivation, which is what's in your heart, why you're doing this. You also need the mindset, which is your beliefs, your habits, your behaviors, your patterns of practice. And then you also need a system. That's the method. You need a system and you need something that's going to keep you on track and moving forward. When you have all 3 things, you will succeed. Your business will scale and it'll go to $1 million. It may go to $10 million, but you need all 3 of those components together and you need to be working at it consistently. All right, take those 3 things I just told you, put them to work. If you want the PDF version of it, I'll give it to you and you can download it. Why are there so many successful businesses but not that many successful families? You look at the average business owner, how many hours are they working per day? 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And they're working evenings and weekends. They're working all the time. So they're putting about 90 to 95% of their time, energy, and effort into their business. They're building something that they're passionate about. But then they forget about the most important people in their lives, their family. And not only that, they're eating fast food, they're eating junk food, they're eating all sorts of food that's actually causing them to feel weak and have less energy, so they don't have the energy when they get home to spend with their family. They want to lay down and rest. Why? Well, because they just put in a 12-hour day or a 14-hour day. So they put all of their time and energy into their business, and then they let their family slide. And I've seen this, and I have friends who are very successful and they have multi-million-dollar businesses, but they do not have a relationship with their family. The last time I heard was my friend had his son come over and they didn't even have a conversation. So there was no conversation going on and basically they sat there silently. So what does that tell you about the relationship between the father and son? There really isn't one. But a really successful business paid for all of their stuff, their house, their cars, all the things that they have, but they don't have a family. They don't have a relationship. And ultimately, all that we're left with are relationships. When everything is said and done and we're at an age where we can stop, we can stop doing things and retire or just stop actively working in the world as much, guess what? all that we're left with is relationships. So like I said in the beginning, many successful businesses, but not that many successful families. And it's all because of focus and time and attention. And it's all being put into the business, but it's a habit after a while, and it becomes such a habit that the family suffers, the relationship suffers, health suffers, all sorts of other things suffer. So if you're not balancing those things in your business, your health and well-being and your relationships and the income and the satisfaction out of working in your business and getting your greatest work into the world, then it's out of balance, it's out of tune, and it's going to crash. It's going to crash and burn and fail. You look at the most recent divorces: Bill Gates, Bezos, and Elon Musk. I mean, these people are successful, but they don't have relationships and they cannot maintain them. Why? Because they're so hell-bent on their businesses. So we don't have to do that. I think it's better to have balance and also create a life worth remembering and have relationships that you can look back on when you do need to, because at some point in your life, you will look back on your relationships, and if you don't have fond memories, guess what? Not going to feel really good. All right, so those are my 3 tips. Speak soon.